Consistent. Okay, so there seems to be something different about consistency between Bert and Ernie. Bert seems to be less consistent than Ernie. Ernie's a little more consistent than Bert. I want to come back to that in a moment, but I want to draw the parallel between this because I think you guys are onto something here. We've talked for about a week and a half now about what are called measures of center. This is where we learned what phrases or what terms mean, meaning, and mode, yeah? We learned about the mostus, the modal value, of which we don't have any here. And very small data sets very rarely have one, so I tend to ignore that one for the most part. The median, one of my faves, one of my favorites. We learned, why do we like medians? As far as talking about the center or the typicalness of a data set. Do you remember why a median was kind of a nice measure to have? Good! As long as the data is what, Scott? Scott said usually the average, the mean, and the median are pretty close.
It's only when like there's an outlier that the median goes out.
But then the mean goes out. The median actually stays still, right? Good, good. But it's good that you remember that. The outliers tend to influence the averages or the means. So I like the median. I like them all, honestly. It's just that depending on the situation, you kind of want to learn to use one or the other. Now, good news, in 244, these all collapse down to the mean to some degree. And good news for that is, what you're about to embark on over here with Bert and Ernie is not the measures of center. Because the measures of center, if you think about it, have kind of failed us right here. These guys look the same when all you look at is their center values. But one of the first things you guys said as I walked out of the room last Wednesday was, Bert's kind of inconsistent. It was one of the first things I heard when I walked up to fill my water bottle. Bert's kind of inconsistent. Awesome! So you got this gut feeling that says, and then, he's cheating. He's lazy. And then the subjective stuff started falling. But I said, let's just focus on the non-subjective, the objective stuff. Let's talk about measures of consistency. Now, statisticians, I don't know why they don't do this. They don't call it consistency. They call it a couple different things, depending on who you talk to. They often call it variation, how things vary. They also call it dispersion, how things disperse. I like consistency. Students, it's the first word my students always come up with. I love it. I love it because consistent, obviously, there's something about the word consistency that rings true in your mind, and you think of it immediately when you see Bert and Ernie over there. That's great. So go ahead and call it whatever you want. Just realize that in like statistical education, it's usually called either variation or dispersion. And there's a reason for it. There's a reason for that. Deviation is another word. All these words mean the same thing. How things are not the same. How they change. So you see how they're kind of, there's a neat A, B, yin-yang thing going on here. This is how to collapse a data set down to a single point. And this is how not to lose all of the differences in the data point, in the set of data points. Aaron, ask me that question right now.
No, I'm just thinking.
Just take it in. Good for you, good for you, good for you. I misread. So, in other words, a concern you guys had from day one is when you start collapsing data sets down, especially with histograms, when you start collapsing them down, you lose precision. This is a way of getting some of that precision back and not losing it too much. And this is huge, hugely important. This is something that you guys have figured out many, many, many years ago, probably in elementary school. I guarantee no one except Math 105 students have ever talked about this before. We didn't talk about it very much in 105. Very much anecdotal and passing. I want to focus on it now. So, what do you guys think?